If you've ever been near a pickleball court, you know that energy is just electric. But you've probably also heard people shouting this strange series of numbers and thought, what in the world is going on? Well, today we're going to crack the code on the pickleball scoring system. It seems confusing, but I promise it's actually super simple. Let's get into it.
You hear this all the time on pickleball courts everywhere. It's basically the universal signal to start the game. And by the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly what 002 means and how to call the score just like a pro.
Look, let's just be real for a second. That three-number score can feel like a secret handshake when you're starting out. It seems kind of quirky, maybe even a little intimidating, but I promise you, once you get the simple logic behind it, you'll see it's actually one of the really fun and unique parts of the game. And hey, it's not just you feeling this way. The sources we're looking at today all agree. It's a quirky system, and it usually takes a few games to really get the hang of it. So if you've been a little lost, you're in very good company. We're just here to help you skip that confusion and get right to the fun part.
Okay, so before we crack that three-number code, let's talk about the absolute basics of how you actually get points. There are two golden rules that control everything.
First up, the magic number is 11. A standard game is played to 11 points. But, and this is a big one, you have to win by at least 2 points. So if the score is tied at 10-10, you're not done yet. You got to keep playing until one team pulls ahead by 2, whether that's 12-10 or even 15-13.
Now, this slide right here, this is probably the single most important rule in pickleball scoring. You can only, and I mean only, score a point when your team is serving. If you win a rally when you're serving, you get a point. Awesome. But if you win a rally when you're receiving, you don't get a point. Instead, you just win the serve back. That's called a side out.
All right, you got those golden rules down? Good, because now it's time for the main event, that three-number score call. This is where most beginners get a little tangled up, but let's break it down piece by piece. It's easier than you think.
The score is always called in the same sequence. First, you say your team's score. Then, you say your opponent's score. And that third number? That's just your server number. In doubles, each partner gets a shot at serving, so that number is just a 1 for the first server or a 2 for the second. Simple as that.
So how do you know where you're supposed to be standing? Well, there's a really cool trick for this. Just look at your team's score. If it's an even number, like 0, 2, 4, 6, the person who started the game serving for your team should be on the right side of the court. If your score is an odd number, 1, 3, 5, that same player should be on the left. It's a great little mental check to make sure everyone's in the right spot.
Theory is great, but honestly, the best way to learn this stuff is just to see it in action. So let's walk through the first few points of a brand new game and see how all these pieces fit together.
And there it is, the famous call to start a match, 002. So you're probably wondering, wait, why start with server number 2? That's a great question. It's a special rule that only applies to the very first serve of the entire game. It's designed to prevent the first team from getting too big of an advantage right off the bat, so they only get one server on their first turn.
Okay, so let's imagine the yellow team serves first and they lose the rally. Well, since they started as server number 2, that's an immediate side out. Notice, no points were scored. The serve just passes right over to the blue team. The score is still 0-0, but now it's blue's turn, and their first player is server number 1. So they call out the score 0-0-1. All right, the blue team serves, and they win the rally. Yes, and because they were serving, they score a point, so their score goes from 0 up to 1. Now, the server, player C, switches sides with their partner and gets ready to serve again. The new score call is 1-0-1. See? Their score, the opponent's score, and they're still server number 1. Perfect.
Now this time, let's say the blue team loses the rally. So, is it a side out? Nope, not yet. This is where that second server gets to shine. The serve now goes to their partner, player D, who becomes server 2. The point score hasn't changed at all, but that third number has. The new call is 1-0-2.
So, player D serves, and they lose the rally too. Okay, now that the second server has lost their rally, it's a side out. The serve goes all the way back over to the yellow team. And remember, no point is scored on a side out. Now the yellow team calls the score from their point of view. Their score is 0, their opponent's is 1, and they're on their first server. So the call is 0-1-1. See how it all flows?
I know that was a lot, but we just covered every single major scenario you're going to run into. So let's do a quick final review with a little cheat sheet to lock it all in so you're totally ready for the court.
So here it is, the core stuff. The game's to 11, you have to win by 2. You only score when you serve. The score is always called your score, their score, server number. The game always kicks off at 0-0-2, and don't forget that handy trick, use your score, even or odd, to remember which side to serve from. That's really the whole shebang.
So, there you have it. The pickleball scoring mystery, totally solved. The next time you step on the court and you hear 0-0-2, you're not going to be confused, you're going to be ready. And you know, the real game isn't just knowing the rules. It's about thinking how they affect your strategy. Knowing you're on your second server might change the kind of shot you decide to take. Understanding the score makes you a much smarter player. Now, get out there and play.